Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today's topic is diphtheria in children. Diphtheria is highly contagious bacterial disease that involves the mucous membrane. It mainly involves the mucous membrane of pharynx and tonsils in 90% of the cases, followed by nasal mucosa and larynx. Here you can see the involvement. A membrane is present over both the tonsils, and it is involving the pharyngeal area, uvula and tonsil. Corynebacterium diphtheria is a non-encapsulated, non-motile, gram-positive bacillus that is shown in the figure. It adheres to the mucosal epithelial cells, where the exotoxins released by these organisms causes a localized inflammatory reaction, followed by tissue destruction and necrosis. Corynebacterium diphtheria has these biotypes: Corynebacterium diphtheria mitis, Corynebacterium diphtheria intermedius, Corynebacterium diphtheria gravis. A new Belfanti is also included, but the first three are common. They all can adhere to the mucous membrane, and they all can produce exotoxins. The incubation of Corynebacterium diphtheria is 3 to 4 days. Incubation period is the period between the entrance of the microorganism to the body to the appearance of the first sign and symptom. The mode of transmission is mainly through droplets. Overcrowding, substandard living conditions, incomplete immunization, and immunocompromised states facilitate susceptibility to diphtheria and are the risk factor associated with the transmission of this disease. Cutaneous diphtheria can also be spread by cuts and wounds and by touching the fomites contaminated with infected person. The organism mainly infect the upper respiratory mucosa and skin, leading to inflammation. Involvement of the nose and the larynx are common, followed by tonsils and pharynx. Beside direct inflammation to the respiratory mucosa, the Corynebacterium diphtheria can cause inflammation by exotoxins. Exotoxins are of two types. The B fragment bind to the receptor on the surface of the susceptible host cell, which help to invade fragment A to enter the cell. This fragment A inhibits an amino acid transfer from RNA translocase to ribosomal amino acid chain, thus inhibiting the protein synthesis that is required for the normal host cell functioning. It means the exotoxins produce cell injury by inhibiting the protein synthesis. These are a few facts of Corynebacterium diphtheriae. If you try to remove the membrane present on the tonsil or in the oropharynx, that will result in bleeding. The paralysis of the soft palate and hypopharynx result in obstruction and leading to respiratory arrest. Paralysis in combination with inflammation and edema of upper respiratory tract can lead to airway obstruction. Systemic spread of the toxin can cause injury to heart, kidney and nervous system. Here you can see the characteristic bull neck appearance of Corynebacterium diphtheria. The signs and symptoms before pseudomembrane appears include fever, weakness, enlarged lymph node, swelling of the tissue of the neck, nasal discharge, and tachycardia. Non-specific symptoms like nausea, vomiting, chills, headache, fever, they are present in children, along with sore throat, difficulty in swallowing, and difficulty in breathing. Suspicion of diphtheria arises when there is membrane present in the oropharynx, especially on the tonsil or on the posterior pharyngeal wall. The membrane is grayish in color and it requires prompt initiation of the antimicrobial therapy without the availability of the culture and sensitivity report. The mainstay in the treatment of diphtheria is to give antitoxin to the patient to block the effect of circulating exotoxins in the body. Secondly, the antimicrobial should be given to kill the bacteria. Few more facts before closing this topic. This disease, Corynebacterium diphtheriae, can cause cardiac toxicity. It may cause myocarditis in 60% of the cases and result in circulatory collapse and death of the patient. In some patients, endocarditis may also occur. In neurotoxicity, there may be cranial nerve palsies leading to pharyngeal and laryngeal dysfunction. Diphtheria may involve the peripheral nerve leading to neuropathy, and the patient will experience stocking and glove peripheral neuropathy. The cutaneous diphtheria begins as a painful lesion resembling an erythematous pustule, which breaks down to form an ulcer covered with grayish membrane. Regarding prevention, a good vaccine is available. It is a combined vaccine with tetanus and whooping cough known as DPT or DTAP. This is the vaccination schedule. It is included in the EPI schedule with 4 months should be started at 4 months, then second dose should be given at 10 months, and the third dose should be given at 16 months. 16, I'm talking about the weeks. Then the booster dose should be given at 1.5 years, and the last dose should be given at 5 years of age. Thank you.